Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna to all the dear devotees and Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for joining us consistently in the morning japa and reading. Hari Hari Bol to Vijay, Govind Prabhuji, Pawan Prabhuji, Aarti Mataji for leading the chanting this morning. Okay, let's continue with our Mangalacharan and then bhajan and then reading. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, welcome everybody once again. Let's continue with our recitation of Vaishnava bhajans and ashtakams. Anybody would like to sing today? Srinandananda Ashtakam. Link is in the chat. Yes. Anybody would like to try?
I can try, Prabhuji.
Amresh Prabhu, yes, please, Prabhu. Yeah.
सुचारुवक्त्रमण्डलं सुकर्णरत्नकुण्डलं सुचर्चिताङ्गचन्दनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् सुदीर्घनेत्रपङ्कजं शिखिखण्डमूर्धजम् अनङ्गकोटिमोहनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् सुनासिकाग्रमौक्तिकं स्वच्छन्ददन्तपङ्क्तिकम् नवाम्बुदाङ्गचिक्कणं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् करेण वेणुरञ्जितं गतिकरीन्द्रगञ्जितं दुकूलपीतशोभनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् त्रिभङ्गदेहसुन्दरं नखद्युतिसुधाकरम् अमूल्यरत्नभूषणं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् सुगन्ध अङ्गसौरभम् उरोविराजिकौस्तवं स्फुरश्रीवत्स लाञ्छनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् वृन्दावनसुनागरं विलासनुगवाससं सुरेन्द्रगर्भमोक्षणं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् व्रजगणासुनायकं सदा सुखप्रदायकं जगन्मनः प्रलोभनं नमामि नन्दनन्दनम् श्रीनन्दनन्दनाष्टकं पठेयः श्रद्धायन् तरेत् भवाद्धिं दोस्तरं लभेत् तदाङ्घ्रियुग्मकम् हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Srinandananda Ashtakam ki jai. Thank you, Amresh Prabhu. Would you like to read the translation also?
Yes. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, whose face is extremely delightful, in whose beautiful ears hang jeweled earrings, and whose entire body is anointed with fragrant chandan. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, whose eyes are more beautiful than the fully bloomed lotus, whose head is beautifully adorned with an arrangement of peacock feathers, and who enchants millions of cupids. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, from whose beautiful nose hangs an elephant pearl, whose teeth are immensely effulgent, whose bodily complexion is more beautiful and lustrous than a fresh rain cloud. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, whose lotus hands hold the flute, whose lingering gait defeats even that of an impassioned elephant, and whose dark limbs are beautified by a yellow shawl. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, whose threefold bending posture is exquisitely elegant. The effulgence of whose toenails put to shame even the moon, and who wears invaluable jewels and ornaments. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, whose body exudes an especially beautiful fragrance, and whose broad chest is adorned with the Kasturba jewel and the mark of Srivastava. Srivastava. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, the expert lover of Vrindavan, who performs immaculate pastimes and who is attired in clothes which are suitable for those pastimes, and who pulverized the pride of Indra. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, who as the lover of the Braja Gopis, perpetually delights them and who enchants the minds of all living entities. Whoever regularly recites this Sri Nandanashtakam will easily cross the seemingly insurmountable ocean of material existence and attain eternal residence at the lotus feet of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mahesh Prabhu. Any thoughts, anything you want to share?
So this is kind of explaining that us human we love to see like the jewels, the lotus, the rain clouds, fragrance, and even the moon, and each one of them is compared to Krishna as if like Krishna is the full package. You don't need to full package for attraction. You don't need to go and see anything else. And even they are less lustrous compared to him. So yeah, I think that's what I kind of summarize.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, that's why Krishna, the name itself, as Prabhupada explains, is all attractive. Like you said, he's the all attractive package. Yes, nothing is independent of Krishna. That is what we learn when we start and when we are on the path of bhakti. We see the whole point is to see the hand of God in anything and everything around us in nature. And even everybody, like we said, in all living entities are part and parcels of Lord. So anything living, whether it's moving or immovable, everything is coming from Krishna. So that's why, Mayavadis say that Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. They say Brahman is Satya, but Jagat, this world is all Mithya. This is false. But a devotee says no. Even the world is not false. It is temporary. It is ashashvatam, but it is not false. Because जैसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं कि like if you see a shadow, then that means the shadow cannot come by itself, right? There has to be a physical person. Only then there will be a shadow, right? So similarly, there has to be, this world is compared to Chaya. It's like Maya. It's like a shadow. But there has to be a real world, right? There has to be a real person. Only then there will be a shadow. So that is the original is the Kaya of the Lord, the Kaya of the spiritual world, and this Jagat is called the Maya, or is the Chaya, right? So this is the shadow. But this is coming because the Lord is there, and everything, as you said, is just a tiny fragmental portion of the Lord's energies. So even Maya Devi sometimes it is compared almost as much. We say Maya Devi is very strong, right? Why is it very strong? Because Krishna is the strongest, of course. We've been talking about Balam Balvatam Chaham yesterday from Bhagavad Gita. So Balam, Krishna is the strength of all the strength, all the strong people, just people, anything and everything. So even Maya Devi takes her strength from Krishna, but everything is in the mood of service to Krishna. She is serving Krishna and keeping the conditioned living entities in this world who don't want to, out of their own natural desire, they don't want to be with Krishna, so then they are kept bounded here. But those who want to go back to Krishna, they surrender to Krishna. Krishna says, Mam eva ye prapadyante mayamitam tarantite. So we have to just surrender, and we surrender by following this beautiful process of bhakti. But yeah, all the things that you compared, yes, that is what Prabhupada was comparing yesterday. Fragrance, the moonlight, the sunshine, the beautiful ponds and lakes and rivers. Everything is fresh in the season of autumn, as we concluded chapter 20 yesterday. So similarly, our hearts, when the rain starts, our hearts which are like dirty of all anarthas, it becomes muddy when the rain initially begins. But when the rain comes in full force, and at the end of the rainy season, everything becomes cleared, right? So similarly, when we start bhakti, our heart, which is like hard rock, slowly starts getting बंजर ज़मीन जैसे भूमि थोड़ी सी पहले मिट्टी से it becomes like muddy. Similarly, our hearts become muddy, but with the full force of bhakti, eventually all the anarthas are eradicated, and the beautiful season of autumn comes where everything is bright and beautiful, and that's when Krishna comes in his full luster. So that is what the hearts of pure devotees are. Okay, thank you so much. Let's continue with our... Okay, before that, let's continue with a quick recitation of Shri Radha Kripa Kataksh by Lord Shiva. Anybody would like to sing today? Okay.
I can try, Prabhu.
Yeah, all right. Yes, Shri Mataji, please.
Can you start first, right?
Yeah, it's similar to the previous one. Nandana, so in the same mood. Manindra Vrinda Vandite Triloka Shoka Harini
प्रसन्न वक्त्र पंकजे निकुंज भूविलासिनी व्रजेंद्र भानु नंदिनी व्रजेंद्र सूनु संगते कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपा कटाक्ष भाजनम् अशोकवृक्षवल्लरी वितानमण्डपस्थिते प्रवालवालपल्लवा प्रभारुणाग्रिकोमले वराभ्यस्फुरदकरे प्रभूत सम्पदालये कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् अनङ्गरङ्गमङ्गलप्रसङ्गभाङ्गुरभ्रुवां सविभ्रमं सभ्रमां त्रिगन्धबाणपाटनै निरन्तरं वासीकृतप्रतीतिनन्दनन्दने कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् तदित्सुवर्णचम्पकप्रदीप्तगौरविग्रहे मुखप्रभापरास्तकोटिसारधेनुमण्डले विचित्रचित्रसञ्चरच्चकोरसावलोचने कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् मदोन्मदाति यौवने प्रमोदमानमण्डिते प्रियानुरागरञ्जिते कलाविलासपण्डिते अनन्यधन्यकुञ्जराज्यकामकेलिकोविदे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् अशेषहावभावधीरहीरहारभूषिते प्रभूतसातकुम्भकुम्भकुम्भिकुम्भसुस्तनि प्रशस्तमण्डहास्यचूर्णपूर्णसौख्यसागरे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् मृणालवालवल्लरी तरङ्गरङ्गदोलते लताग्रलास्यलोलनीललोचनावलोकने ललल्लुलन्मिलन्मनोज्ञमुग्धमोहनाश्रिते कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् सुवर्णमालिकञ्चिता त्रिरेखकम्बुकण्ठगे त्रिसूत्रमङ्गलीगुणा त्रिरत्नदीप्तिदीप्तिः सलोलनीलकुन्तलप्रसूनगोचगुम्फिते कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् नितम्बबिम्बलम्बमान् पुष्पमेखलागुणे प्रशस्तरत्नकिङ्किणी कलापमध्यमञ्जुले करीन्द्रसुन्दरदण्डिकावरोह सौभगोरुके कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् अनेकमन्त्रनादमञ्जुनुपुरारवस्खलद् समाजराजहंसवंशनिह्वनातिगौरवे विलोलहेमवल्लरी विडम्बिचारुचङ्क्रमे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् अनन्तकोटिविष्णुलोकनम्रपद्मजार्चिते हिमाद्रिजा पुलोमजा वरप्रदे अपारसिद्धिरिद्धिदिग्धसत्तपटाङ्गुलीनखे कदा करिष्यसि मां कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् मखेश्वरी क्रियेश्वरी स्वदेश्वरी सुरेश्वरी त्रिवेदभारतीश्वरी प्रमाणशासनेश्वरी रमेश्वरी शमेश्वरी काननेश्वरी व्रजेश्वरी व्रजाधिपे श्रीराधिके नमोऽस्तुते इतीमम् अद्भुतं स्तवं निशम्य भानुनन्दिनी करोतु सन्ततं जनं कृपाकटाक्षभाजनम् भवेतदैव सञ्चित त्रिरूपकर्मनाशनं भवेत तदा ब्रजेन्द्रसूनुमण्डलप्रवेशनम्. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Srimataji. Very nice. This is a beautiful prayer, like Lord Shiva, as we said, here in our ISKCON temples, or online you can find, maybe I'll try to see if I can get the link, but you can just search for B.B. Govind Swami Maharaj. He, this is like his specialty, when he sings this in Kirtan 50, especially that happens in Dallas, ISKCON Dallas, in Radha Kalachandji temple every year during the Christmas and New Year's Eve. So yeah, Maharaj sings this very wonderfully. So you can look up, B.B. Govind Swami Maharaj, and his recitation of Shri Radhika Prakataksh. Okay, chapter 21. Let's continue. Anybody would like to read today? Gopi is attracted by the flute. All right, let's continue then. I'll read. Somebody wanted to read? Shri Mataji?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Chapter 21, the gopis attracted by the flute. With the arrival of the beautiful autumn season, the waters in the lakes and rivers became as clear as crystal and filled with fragrant lotus flowers, and breezes blew very pleasantly. At that time, Krishna entered the forest of Vrindavan with the cows and cowherd boys. Krishna was very much pleased with the atmosphere of the forest, where flowers bloomed and bees and drones hummed very jubilantly. While the birds, trees, and plants were all looking very happy, Krishna, tending the cows and accompanied by Sri Balram and the cowherd boys, began to vibrate his transcendental flute. After hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna, the gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk amongst themselves about how nicely Krishna was playing his flute. When the gopis were describing the sweet vibration of Krishna's flute, they also remembered their pastimes with him. Thus their minds became disturbed. And they were unable to describe completely the beautiful vibration. While discussing the transcendental vibration, they remembered also how Krishna dressed, decorated with a peacock feather on his head, just like a dancing actor, and with blue flowers pushed over his ear. His garment glowed yellow gold, and he was garlanded with a Vaijayanti necklace. Dressed in such an attractive way, Krishna filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar emanating from his lips. So they remembered him entering the forest of Vrindavan, which is always glorified by the footprints of Krishna and his companions. Krishna was very expert in playing the flute, and the gopis were captivated by the sound vibration, which was attractive not only to them, but to all living creatures who heard it. One of the gopis told her friends, "The highest perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balram entering the forest and playing their flutes and tending the cows with their friends." People who are constantly engaged in the transcendental meditation of seeing Krishna internally and externally by thinking of him playing the flute, entering the Vrindavan forest, and tending the cows with the cowherd boys have really attained the perfection of samadhi. Samadhi, trance, means absorption of all the activities of the senses in a particular object, and the gopis indicate that the pastimes of Krishna are the perfection of all meditation and samadhi. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who is always absorbed in the thought of Krishna is the topmost of all yogis. Another gopi expressed her opinion that Krishna and Balram, while tending the cows with the cowherd boys, appeared just like actors going to play on a dramatic stage. Krishna was dressed in glowing garments of yellow, Balram in blue, and they held new twigs of mango tree, peacock feathers, and bunches of flowers in their hands. Dressed with garlands of lotus flowers, they were sometimes singing very sweetly among their friends. One gopi told her friends, "How is it Krishna and Balram are looking so beautiful?" Another gopi said, "My dear friends, we cannot even think of his bamboo flute. What sort of pious activities did it execute so that it is now enjoying the nectar of the lips of Krishna, which is actually the property of us gopis?" Krishna sometimes kisses the gopis, therefore the transcendental nectar of his lips is available only to them. So the gopis asked, How is it possible that the flute, which is nothing but a bamboo rod, is always engaged in enjoying the nectar from Krishna's lips? Because the flute is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, the mother and the father of the flute must be happy. The lakes and rivers are considered to be the mothers of the trees because the trees live simply by drinking water. So the waters of the lakes and rivers of Vrindavan were in a happy mood, full of blooming lotus flowers because the waters were thinking, how is it that our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips? The bamboo trees standing by the banks of the rivers and the lakes were also happy to see their descendant so engaged in the service of the Lord, just as persons who are advanced in transcendental knowledge take pleasure in seeing their descendants engage in the service of the Lord. The trees were overwhelmed with joy and were incessantly yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives hanging on their branches. Another gopi spoke thus to her friends about Krishna. Dear friends, Vrindavan is proclaiming the glories of his entire earth because this planet is glorified by the lotus footprints of the son of Devki. Besides that, when Govinda plays his flute, the peacocks immediately become mad, as if they had heard the rumbling of a new cloud. When all the animals and trees and plants, either on the top of Govardhan Hill or in the valley, see the dancing of the peacocks, they all stand still and listen to the transcendental sound of the flute with great attention. We think that this boon is not possible or available on any other planet. Although the gopis were village coward women and girls, they had extensive Vedic knowledge. Such is the effect of Vedic civilization. People in general would learn the highest truths of the Vedas simply by hearing from authoritative sources. Another gopi said, my dear friends, just see the deer. Although they are dumb animals, they have approached the son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna. Not only are they attracted by the dress of Krishna and Balram, but as soon as they hear the playing of the flute, the deer, along with their husbands, offer respectful obeisances unto the Lord by looking at him with great affection. The gopis were envious of the deer because the deer were able to offer their service to Krishna along with their husbands. The gopis thought themselves not so fortunate because whenever they wanted to go to Krishna, their husbands were not very happy. Another gopi said, my dear friends, Krishna is so nicely dressed that he appears to be the impetus to various kinds of ceremonies held by the women folk. Even the wives of the denizens of heaven become attracted after hearing the transcendental sound of his flute. Although they are traveling in the air in their airplanes, enjoying the company of their husbands, on hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, they immediately become perturbed. Their hair is loosened and their tight belts are slackened. This means that the transcendental sound of the flute of Krishna extended to all corners of the universe. Also, it is significant that the gopis knew about the different kinds of airplanes flying in the sky. Another gopi said to her friends, my dear friends, the cows are also charmed as soon as they hear the transcendental sound of the flute of Krishna. It sounds to them like the pouring of nectar, and they immediately spread their long ears just to catch the liquid nectar of the flute. As for the calves, they are seen with the nipples of their mothers pressed in their mouths, but they cannot suck the milk. They remain struck with devotion, and tears glide down from their eyes, illustrating vividly how they are embracing Krishna heart to heart. These phenomena indicate that even the cows and calves in Vrindavan knew how to cry for Krishna and embrace him heart to heart. Actually, the perfection of Krishna consciousness can be culminated in the shedding of tears from the eyes. Another young gopi told her mother, my dear mother, the birds who are all looking at Krishna playing on his flute are sitting very attentively on the branches and twigs of different trees. From their features, it appears that they have forgotten everything and are engaged only in hearing Krishna's flute. This proves that they are not ordinary birds. They are great sages and devotees, and just to hear Krishna's flute, they have appeared in Vrindavan forest as birds. Great sages and scholars are interested in Vedic knowledge, but the essence of Vedic knowledge is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedya. Through the knowledge of the Vedas, Krishna has to be understood. From the behavior of these birds, it appeared that they were great scholars in Vedic knowledge and they took to Krishna's transcendental vibration and rejected all branches of Vedic knowledge. Even the river Yamuna, very much desiring to embrace the lotus feet of Krishna after hearing the transcendental vibration of his flute, broke her fierce waves to flow very nicely with lotus flowers in her hands, just to present flowers to Mukunda with deep feeling. The scorching heat of the autumn sunshine was sometimes intolerable, and therefore the clouds in the sky appeared in sympathy about Krishna and Balram and their boyfriends while they engaged in blowing their flutes. The clouds served as a soothing umbrella over their heads just to make friendship with Krishna. The Aborigine girls became fully satisfied when they smeared their faces and breasts with the dust of Vrindavan, which was reddish from the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. The Aborigine girls had very full breasts and they were also very lusty, but when their lovers touched their breasts, the girls were not very much satisfied. When they came out into the midst of the forest, they saw that while Krishna was walking, some of the leaves and creepers of Vrindavan had turned reddish from the kumkum powder which fell from his lotus feet. His lotus feet are held by the gopis on their breasts, which are smeared with kumkum powder. But when Krishna travels in the Vrindavan forest with Balram and his boyfriends, the reddish powder falls on the ground. So the lusty aborigine girls, while looking towards Krishna playing his flute, saw the reddish kumkum on the ground and immediately took it and smeared it over their faces and breasts. In this way, they became fully satisfied, although they were not satisfied when their lovers touched their breasts. All material lusty desires can be immediately satisfied if one comes in contact with Krishna consciousness. Another gopi began to praise the unique position of Govardhan Hill in this way. How fortunate is this Govardhan Hill, for it is enjoying the association of Lord Krishna and Balram, who are accustomed to walking on it. Thus, Govardhan is always in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord. And because Govardhan Hill is so obliged to Lord Krishna and Balram, it is supplying different kinds of fruits, roots, and herbs, as well as very pleasing crystal water from its lakes in presentation to the Lord. The best presentation offered by Govardhan Hill, however, is newly grown grass for the cows and calves. Govardhan Hill knows how to please the Lord by pleasing his most beloved associates, the cows and the cowherd boys. Another gopi said, everything appears wonderful when Krishna and Balaram travel in the forest of Vrindavan, playing their flutes and making intimate friendship with all kinds of moving and non moving living creatures. When Krishna and Balaram play on their transcendental flutes, the moving creatures become stunned and stop their activities, and non moving living creatures like trees and plants begin to shiver with ecstasy. These are the wonderful reactions to the vibration of the transcendental flutes of Krishna and Balram.
Pause here, Mataji. Thank you so much for reading this morning. Yes, anything you want to share, any thoughts, reflections come to your mind as you're reading this? Anything that you liked from today's passage?
Yeah, everything is like so beautiful, like it's like when Krishna walks, everything comes to life. And especially, the one where Prabhupada mentioned that the living entities who are there, the moving objects whoever are moving, they stop, and non-moving objects start moving. So who has this power, of doing this except Krishna? Like the non-living entities come to life and the living entities just stop. Like the cows and the calves, they mentioned that they just shed tears, and they are just stunned by Krishna. And then we have also heard, like whenever Krishna stepped on the Govardhan hill, it just melted like butter. It became like a butter, so that um his feet wouldn't be hurt by the hardness of the Govardhan. So that's so beautiful. Like everybody's always in the service of Krishna, and they're always thinking how to serve him, even if it's a little thing. So yeah, it's so beautiful. When I was reading it, I could just, the picture was going on, and I was just imagining how beautiful it would be. And yeah, and even like the flute, how intelligent the gopis are. They were, it's mentioned, right, they were just a cowherd girls, but they knew so much about Vedas and everything, that it's also mentioned that they also knew like what airplanes were flying in the sky. So when you, I mean, when you love Krishna, when you are in his thoughts, I think everything automatically, comes to you, whatever knowledge you want, when you are truly engaged in Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, really beautiful. Even the flute, like they mentioned, that's so sweet. Like they were like what consciousness they are in. They are also thinking about that, like how even the flute, like which is a non-living thing, which is just a bamboo rod, is so fortunate. Like that, to have that vision, you need so much of sadhana. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for such nice summary of the chapter. I was remembering Adi Guru Prabhu. He is very nice in summarizing things. I always tell him. So like that, very nice summary. Thank you for sharing. It directly came from your heart. And you lost your heart to Krishna. As I say, I lost my heart in Vrindavan. So yes, the heart beats, but the heart stops. The heart, and the heart skips a beat when here we see, as the gopis are seeing Krishna, they're moving, but their hearts have stopped at the lotus feet of Krishna. Yes, such a beautiful way how Prabhupada narrates everything, because he is an eternal servant of the Lord. So the way he writes this, almost as if he is, like you said, he's directly visualizing each and every activity, each and every word of the sentence that he's writing is like almost like he's observing that, in the core of his heart as he's writing this passage. Yeah, and the sound of the flute. Sometimes you can see if, like you said, it requires a lot of sadhana, it requires a lot of devotion. But yeah, the sound of the flute is just so sweet. When we hear, like for example, when we go to sadhu sangha, and there are so many musical instruments played during sadhu sangha. Mridanga, kartal, of course, are the topmost. But sometimes during the long 1 hour kirtan, suddenly you'll see some of the other musicians at the back. They will start playing. Somebody will start playing guitar. Somebody will start playing that banjo and all of those things, and then suddenly somebody will start playing a flute. It is just so mesmerizing, the sound of the flute. It's even in some of the bhajans that we hear on YouTube. Suddenly, if the sound of flute comes, your mind automatically goes to Krishna, right? So that is the power of the flute. And Prabhupada said that in this age, the sound of the flute, which is the ultimate call to surrender, because it captivates us completely at the lotus feet of Krishna. But that sound of flute, which is directly coming from the lotus lips of Krishna, is not different from the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this Mahamantra, which is the transcendental sound vibration, is compared to the transcendental sound vibration emanating from the flute, because again that is also coming from the lips of Krishna, and this Hare Krishna Mahamantra also has come from the lips of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this age for us, yes, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the sound of the flute, and whenever we chant this mantra, we recite this mantra, we can remember that this is directly coming from the flute of Krishna, and that way we can always remember Krishna and Krishna's beautiful smiling face. So I think we sent out the flyer yesterday. So Her Grace Malati Mataji will be here this Saturday on such a beautiful topic. We'll be talking about Krishna's smiling face. That's what she'll be discussing, and it's nice that we are on this chapter, seeing and visualizing the beautiful face, smiling face of Krishna as he's playing the flute, and all the living entities are stunned into ecstasy, seeing Krishna's beautiful face and the beautiful smile and the beautiful sound of the flute of the Lord. Yeah, so many wonderful things. Anybody else would like to say or share anything? Okay, any reflections? I've not heard any of you speak any of your reflections on our remembrance of the Lord from Bhagavad Gita. Anything anybody want to share around Balam Balvatam Jaham? Krishna as the strength of the strong. Are you remembering Krishna, or you forgotten? Hopefully everybody is still remembering Krishna while drinking water. No? Yes? Or was it paused? You were stunned into ecstasy by chanting the Mahamantra that you've forgotten everything else. I was remembering Krishna yesterday as Balam Balvatam Chaham. So nowadays when we all go for work, we have to carry our backpacks. So my backpack becomes really heavy nowadays. I was remembering. Generally I forgot, but yesterday somehow as I was entering office, I was remembering, oh my God, how heavy my backpack is. And I was remembering my school days. Sometimes in school you remember we'll take our backpacks and they'll be so heavy. So it's books and with lunchbox and water bottles and whatnot. And even nowadays when I see, sometimes I was remembering when Vidhi, my younger one, even going into 3rd grade, 4th grade, their backpacks will be so heavy. But yeah, I was just remembering my backpack yesterday, and I was just remembering, oh, it's so heavy. But anyway, the strength to carry this backpack is coming from Krishna. Yeah, so yeah, with the laptops and everything, it just felt so heavy yesterday. Okay, so that was my remembrance, little remembrance. Even little remembrance of the Lord is very, very powerful. So hope all of us can continue to remember Krishna through our day, through all these small things. But the small steps that we take enable us to, like Prabhupada was saying yesterday, consistent practice of these limbs of bhakti. Rupa Goswami says, with enthusiasm, right? Utsaha nishya dhairya tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vritti shadvid bhaktir prasidati. So our devotion, our ultimate desire, ultimate goal of devotion service is to attain the Lord's lotus feet, and that for sure, Prabhupada says, everybody will, 100% guarantee, like he says, for sure we will attain the destination by practicing these 6 favorable ways of practicing bhakti. So if our bhakti is consistent and offenseless, of course, we have to not commit offenses. So that's what Prabhupada gave these 2 things, right? Follow 4 regulative principles so that we are in the mode of Shuddha Sattva, and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly without committing offenses. So when we continue to do this, we remain in the mode of pure goodness, and from there we transcend even the mode of pure goodness and we go to the transcendental world. So you just have to have faith and follow the process consistently and patiently. Yes, Shriya Mataji, you want to say something?
Yes, Prabhu. I had a question, when we say that he's the strength of the strong, and even in I think later or in a different chapter, it says I'm the fire of the digestion and everything. So then it might be a little stupid, but then why do we get digestive problems, or why can't we have unlimited strength? Or because if he's the source of that, then, we shouldn't be weak or anything like that.
Yeah, because we are only tiny parts and parcels of the Lord, so we cannot have the same strength as Krishna has. But yeah, we have the same qualities. The quantity is what is limited, right? So, but yes, and of course, in this world, because we have this foreign covering around us, right? This material body is just made of material elements, right? So this is not our eternal identity. The eternal identity is the pure spirit soul, and this pure spirit soul doesn't have any of these problems of life. But because we are covered by the body, yes, we have to suffer, because in this world's nature is dukhalayam ashashvatam. So it is for devotees, again, those are positive ways to remember the Lord, because when we go through sufferings, like Kunti Maharani did, right, then she said, I want more suffering so that I can actually remember Krishna. So for us, for devotees, for practicing devotees, this is good because we always, when we have problems, we immediately remember Krishna and we pray to the Lord, right? So for us, this is good. For people who are too materialistic, they may not remember the Lord, but they may remember the doctor, or they may remember how can I get rid of these problems. They're just going from door to door to door to find solutions to the problems, but they don't find solutions. But ultimately, after endless births, endless going into cycles of birth and death, like all these yogis, as Prabhupada is explaining, they may come to the shelter, to the lotus feet of the Lord. But those who are trying to do it on their own strength, they think they are the strong, they have the strength to do and to do tide over everything, all the problems, they will only go through sufferings again and again, unless and until they come to the feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So that's how we can look at it.
Yeah, thank you.
Nalin Prabhu, your hand is raised.
No, Prabhu, Sriya Mataji's question is nice. Actually, we are, so contaminated. Because of that, we get diverted, though we keep practicing. But yeah, one thing we can say, if we'll keep practicing, definitely one day will come. Like we'll be more strengthened in this spiritual area than the material area. All are in a hybrid model right now. So it will take time. But slowly we're trying. Let's see when we'll come to that stage or that state.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam sabko. Shriya Mataji talked about the stomach problems because of fire of digestion, right? So एक छोटी सी मुझे कहानी याद आ गई रामायण से, शेयर करूं?
Yes, please.
जरूर.
So Hanumanji, everybody knows how big of a devotee he is. So Shani Devta, he goes to everybody's grah, right? And everybody has heard of the Sade Sati, jab wo 7.5 saal rahe the. And when Shani Devta went to Hanumanji, तो Hanumanji ने कहा, why are you here? He said, मैं आपकी 7.5 आई है, तो मैं 7.5 साल आपके पास रहने वाला हूँ. तो बोले, अच्छा, what do you do when you come, right? What are your effects? So Shani Devta said, well, first 2.5 years, I stay in your head. So whatever your thoughts are all going to be like bikar thoughts. You won't be able to think productive. You will be like isolated. You won't even work well. You won't perform well in your services. And he said, next 2.5 years, I stay in your stomach. Pet kharab rahega aapka. And then the last 2.5 years, I stay in your feet. कि आपके पांव जो हैं हमेशा गलत जगह पे चलेंगे, आप सही रास्ते पे चल ही नहीं पाओगे, सब लेफ्ट राइट जा रहे हैं तो आप कहीं लेफ्ट नॉर्थ साउथ ईस्ट जाओगे आप. So Hanuman ji said, okay, most welcome, come stay at my head, you're here, right? He said, but there's one thing that I will be doing Gayatri, would you be okay? He said, yeah, I'll be fine. So Hanuman ji is doing Gayatri. He's a monkey. He's jumping all over the place and he's going all around the world, and wherever Ram Katha is, he's there. And वो बेचारे उछल कूद करते करते, समुद्र पार करते करते, सब कुछ करते करते वो शनि देवता की इतनी हालत खराब हो जाती है कि he kind of slides down to the tail of Hanuman ji, and he's at the tail already, and he's like literally crying in pain, and he's badly beaten by everything, and Hanumanji all of a sudden is hearing, hi, mar gaya, and Shani Devta is saying all this. And then Hanumanji said, kya hua aapko? He said, meri to apne halat patli kar di hai. Hanumanji said, what is the remedy? How can we please you? Aapki kaise main seva karu, or how do I nourish you back to health? So he said, ki sarson ke tel ki, I need the massage. So Hanumanji said, okay, we can do this massage of the mustard oil. And then Shani Devta also said, Hanumanji, please forgive me. मैं गलती से आपके सिर पे आ गया, मुझे आपके पास नहीं आना है. I will not ever come to you, and I give you the boon कि जो भी आपकी भक्ति करता है, I will not bother that person. That's why on Tuesday or Saturday we offer mustard oil to Hanumanji. India में आते हैं ना वो गली गली में लेने के लिए, तेल लेने के लिए आते हैं. वो इसीलिए आते हैं कि शनि देवता को जो हनुमान जी ने पटका है बुरी तरह से, उससे उनकी मसाज हो सके and he can be calm little bit. So that is a little story that I have heard कि and Hanuman and शनि देवता had said कि आपके मैं भक्तों को कभी तंग नहीं करूंगा. That's how we say कि हनुमान जी की भक्ति से शनि देव भी दूर रहते हैं. So just from her upset stomach, I kind of thought of that. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You- Yes, and we were reading about Govardhan health, such nice. Thank you for sharing such a nice thing. I was remembering, so I was saying, as you were speaking about Shani Dev, ki Shani Dev ka mandir bhi hai Govardhan pe, and again devotees who go there, again Shani Devta never troubles us, troubles the devotees who take darshan of Shani Dev there. Yes. Okay, thank you so much for the beautiful reflections and sharing your heart and your association every morning. Consistency is the key. Yes, as Maharaj was here, Janardhan Maharaj, my wife was asking him the same thing, because so that's why she's not on the call. Sometimes she's been having health issues and digestive issues and all of these problems. So she was asking Maharaj, how do I do bhakti, when we are having all these problems, of the body. And then Maharaj says, no matter, you just have to have consistency. Consistency is the key in bhakti. So that was Maharaj's statement as well. So yeah, whatever we do, doesn't matter. Even if we are able to do it for a few minutes, but make sure that we are trying as much as possible to, because that is kind of also Tessa that Acharya has also explained that if we, like I was saying yesterday, if we have like $50,000 kept in front of us, doesn't matter whether we have digestive problem, health problem, sleep problems, what problem, we will sit and we will complete our chanting, right? So because we don't understand the value, or we are still on the path that we don't understand the significance of the Mahamantra, because this is Golokera Premadan. In this world, the paper money can attract and absorb us so much, but this is the highest. Like we said, this is the sound of the flute. The sound of Mahamantra is the sound of the flute coming directly from Krishna. So if you understand the value, that what the end result will be of our chanting, that will help us ultimately to develop the love of God and go back to God, then that should be the driving factor. Then it doesn't matter what problems we are having of the body. We will, every morning we'll wake up and we will chant. So that should be our mood. And we are all practicing sadhakas, including myself. So trying our level best despite all the problems. And that's what captures Krishna's attention. When we try to overcome all the obstacles, despite all the obstacles, we don't leave the lotus feet of the Lord, then it attracts his attention. Otherwise, he's very busy playing, performing his pastimes. Why does he want to hear about us? Right? So that's why Mahaprabhu, but he is so merciful that he comes in the mood of Radharani as Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu and Gaura Nitai, they gave us their mercy first. And because they are so merciful, with their mercy, we can go back to Krishna. All right, thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Vaishnavandi ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Purushottam Adhik Maas ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande,
Hari Bol. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.